So, have you looked at the price of a new SSD or maybe some more RAM recently and just had to do a double take? Yeah, you're definitely not the only one. We are in the middle of a massive, and I mean massive, price surge for the components that pretty much run our entire digital world. And look, this isn't just some small market correction. This is a full-blown crisis. Let's get into what on earth is going on.
This quote from PC Gamer just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It feels like the window for getting an affordable upgrade is just slamming shut right in front of us. What used to be a simple click-and-buy decision now feels like you're in a race against time, and we're all kicking ourselves for not buying that new drive yesterday.
And this little piece of tech is at the very heart of the whole thing, the NAND flash memory chip. It's the absolute magic inside our solid-state drives, or SSDs, that makes everything from our phones to the world's biggest data centers feel so incredibly fast. For years, we took this for granted. It was cheap, it was everywhere. But now it's being treated like digital gold.
Okay, so first things first, let's really get a handle on just how wild this price surge is. We are not talking about a few percentage points here and there. No, this is a seismic shift, the kind the industry hasn't seen in, well, decades. And the comparisons people are making are just staggering.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. We've actually reached the point where serious analysts are comparing the value of high-end storage to actual gold, ounce for ounce. Think about that. This isn't just a price increase anymore. It's a fundamental revaluation of a core piece of technology. So the real question is, what could possibly be causing something this dramatic?
Well, the answer comes down to two little letters, AI. The artificial intelligence boom has unleashed this ferocious, absolutely insatiable demand for high-performance memory. You can think of it like a giant beast that constantly needs to be fed, and right now, it's eating up the entire global supply at a terrifying rate. The numbers behind this are just jaw-dropping.
Let's just start with this number, 257%. And no, that is not a typo. That is the insane price explosion we're seeing for a big enterprise SSD, the kind that powers massive data centers in less than 1 year. Now imagine you're running a company's IT budget. A jump like that doesn't just bend your budget, it absolutely shatters it.
And it's not just the big storage drives. Look at this, 95%. That's the price hike that's expected for regular old DRAM, the RAM in your computer at home, in a single quarter, not a year. In just 3 months, the price is set to almost double.
And if that's not crazy enough, think about this. 52 weeks, a whole year. That is the current waiting list just to get your hands on high-capacity hard drives. So at this point, it's not even about the money. It's about whether you can even get the hardware at all. You literally have to plan your server upgrades a full year in advance. The demand has just completely broken the system.
And if you want to know how bad it is, just listen to this quote from a major industry CEO. He's on the record saying that the entire planet's production of NAND flash for 2026 is, get this, already sold out. The giant AI companies and the hyperscalers, we're talking Google, Amazon, Microsoft, they've bought it all up. For everyone else, there is literally nothing left.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, if AI is creating all this demand, why don't the factories just, make more? Well, that's a great question, and it brings us to the other side of this crisis, the global supply squeeze. This isn't just a story about runaway demand, it's also about a fundamental bottleneck in our ability to manufacture this stuff.
And what's really important to understand is that this is not a temporary problem. This is a permanent structural shift in the market. The very few very advanced factories that can make these chips are changing what they make. They're switching their production lines over to prioritize the super expensive, high-profit components that AI needs, like high-bandwidth memory. And that means there's just less factory space left for the everyday SSDs and RAM that the rest of us depend on.
And here, you can see the result of that shift in black and white. Back in mid-2025, a fast SSD was about 6 times more expensive than a slower, traditional hard drive for the same amount of space. Okay, fair enough. But fast forward less than a year, and that gap explodes to more than 16 times. A price chasm like that is forcing everyone, from IT architects to you and me, to totally rethink how we store our data.
So the million-dollar question becomes, what do we do? How do we even operate in this new normal? Because just throwing more money at the problem is not going to work when the supply itself has vanished. The only real answer is to get a lot smarter about how we use what we already have. Let's see how different folks are trying to survive this.
For the big players, like the IT leaders managing enormous data centers, the game has completely changed. The new mantra is basically out-architect the shortage, don't try to outbuy it. They know they can't just write a bigger check to get out of this mess. Instead, they're having to be way more clever, using the cloud more strategically and basically hunting down every last bit of wasted space in their existing systems to free up that precious capacity.
Now, for the rest of us, the gamers, the creators, the everyday PC users, the advice from pretty much every expert out there is painfully simple. You need to act now. If you have even a tiny thought that you might need a new SSD or a RAM upgrade in the next year or so, the time to buy it is right now. Every single forecast shows these prices are only headed in one direction, up.
Of course, this price crisis is especially brutal for one group, nonprofits. I mean, when you're already running on a shoestring budget, a 200% price hike on essential tech is just devastating. But thankfully, there are some programs out there designed to help. Things like Amazon Business for nonprofits can offer tax-exempt buying, and partnerships through groups like TechSoup can provide massive discounts. We're talking up to 25% off Lenovo hardware. Honestly, these programs are absolute lifelines that help these vital organizations keep doing their important work.
So we'll leave you with one final thought to chew on. For about 100 years, oil was the one resource that fueled economies and really defined global power. But as we dive headfirst into an age that's completely dominated by AI, has data storage become the new oil? Is this physical hardware, the stuff that actually holds the raw data for AI, now the most precious and maybe the most contested resource that's going to shape our future?